The last 2 months, instead of collecting $2,000 a month, we're having to pay the $1,500 a month mortgage instead of them. So that was tough. Thank God we were successful in doing that. But at the same time, it's a lot of rent that was lost, which is horrible. So it seems like they were using the restroom on the floors, right? It seems like we're gonna have to paint the whole house again and refinish the hardwood floors, which is expensive. So all said and done, this is probably gonna cost us about $5,000 actually. Yeah, it's not fun being a landlord. And everybody thinks that since you're a landlord that you just are rich basically, but quite the opposite.
All right, so for most new investors, their very first property ends up being their very first rental property. Now, the reason that is because most people get into their first home with very minimal down. They want to be able to get into the rental space. They want to become landlords. They want to get that money. They want to become rich. And we've heard for years and years that the best way to become rich is to own real estate. So, of course, it makes sense that when you get that first home, you believe it's going to be the home that you're going to make all this money with, and you're going to own the world, and you're going to become a millionaire, multi-millionaire at that. But here's the reality. Most of the time, that doesn't work the way you think. And in the video we're gonna watch today, you're gonna hear an individual talk to us about his experience with his first home and what he learned after becoming a landlord. Let's get into it.
The same story. We're gonna buy our first house, we're gonna rent it, live in it for a few years, then we're gonna move out and we're gonna rent it out. Great plan. That's like a trend, I guess, right now. And that's a trend that my wife and I actually followed. And I wanted to kind of give you guys an update on what that really looks like 2 years later. So we moved out of our first home 2 years later, bought another house. We rented it out, cash flowing like $300 a month. That's the difference, $300, $400 a month. That's the difference between the mortgage and the rent. And signed a 2-year lease. A lot of stuff changed in the last 2 years for the tenant, and they ended up not being able to pay the rent. So the last 2 months, instead of collecting $2,000 a month, we're having to pay the $1,500 a month mortgage instead of them. So that was tough. Instead of hiring a lawyer to kick them out and spending all those fees and all the time that can take, we just decided to try to offer them basically cash for keys, saying if you move out of the house, we won't hold you liable for the rent that you owe us up to this point. We just need you to move out so that we can get somebody else in there who is going to pay. So, thank God we were successful in doing that. But at the same time, it's a lot of rent that was lost. So now we go in the house a couple of days ago to kind of do a damage assessment and see what the situation's like. We knew there were dogs here. We didn't know the extent of the dog situation. Beautiful hardwood floors over there at our house, and they have been completely ruined.
My heart breaks for him because I know that exact feeling when you have a tenant that doesn't pay and then you're about to pump money in. That heartbreak, I could just hear it through his voice. I feel that pain, and anyone who's been a landlord out there, you know exactly how painful what he's going through is. You can almost see it in his eye.
Dogs, I guess, were not let out of the house at all, ever, by the looks of it and by the smell of it, which is horrible. So it seems like they were using the restroom on the floors, right? It seems like we're gonna have to paint the whole house again and refinish the hardwood floors, which is expensive. So all said and done, this is probably gonna cost us about $5,000 actually,
$2,500
over the 2 years. And if you know anything about amortization schedules and how principal gets paid down on a 30-year mortgage, we're still at the early part of this 30-year mortgage, so not much money is getting paid off in principal each month. So maybe $3,000 to $4,000 in principal got paid down on the house, but in reality, the market has fluctuated so much that the house is probably worth $10,000 less in the last 2 years. So that's $6,000 more in the hole there. So
normally, right, you would watch a video like this, and we'll let him finish, but I wanted to interject and say this one thing. Normally, at the beginning, I know most people think, well, he can get out, right? He can just get out, sell the home, and he can leave, and they'll be up still. And he brought up a very important point. The market has fluctuated so much that in order for him to actually get out of this deal, he would actually have to pay a seller or a buyer to buy the home. This is one of the few times where you tell someone, hey man, it's actually better, potentially, I gotta see the whole picture, right? It's actually better for you to remain a landlord. And the reason is this: if all else fails, at least he's cash flowing. I bet you he got this home at a really good mortgage. He got it at a really good mortgage price that it makes sense for him to hold on to it. I wouldn't get it. I wouldn't sub to it to someone else. Don't do that, right? Because that runs its own risk because you're still on the hold for the mortgage. But but I would say it's best for him to just continue and stay the landlord, for the fact that he has to have it at the right number. Because here's why: if he said 1,500, it sounds like it rents for $2,000, so he's once again at that $500 profit. He's cash flowing pretty well. Now he looks like he's got probably a management fee in there or something like that, because he was saying, I think he said $300 was his cash flow. Long story short, this property is one of those where I think a lot of new landlords are experiencing this, where you are cash flowing, but every single disaster will hurt you, because that's literally a $2,000 difference. I know it's $3,000, but anyone who's ever had to repair anything in a rental property, you already know 1 month of this, you're already in the negative. So if he can, I would hold out for as long as he could and continue to just get another tenant, clean it. It's $5,000. Hopefully they saved most of what they were getting from the previous years, and put that in the high yield savings, because that's one of the things that I would teach someone to do, which is you want to take the money that you're making and your rainy day rental fund, and you want to put that in a safe investment. Right now, a high yield savings is getting you 3-4%, probably even more, a CD, whatever. You want it in the highest possible investment vehicle to earn you a decent amount, because you're gonna need that money at some point in a rental, so you want to at least be ready for that. So this is one of the few times I would tell someone to just stay in and not sell the home, because right now he's probably upside down. There are homes that'll cash flow, and this is gonna trip most people out, but just hear me out. There are homes that cash flow today that were purchased 4 or 5 years ago at the rates that they were purchased at. They would cash flow, and their mortgage rates are like $1,700, $1,500, like in his case. But if he went to go buy that same home, if someone approached him about buying his exact home for $10,000 less than he paid for it, my mortgage would probably be $2,600. Interest rates have risen so high that it actually does not make sense for you to buy at the same price, or even at a lesser price than an individual paid 3 to 5 years ago, or 4 to 5 years ago, because really the prices shot up and the rates shot up in 2022 onwards. So that's how messed up the market is. But let's continue.
We're going to continue to rent it out and just hope that it gets better.
Good job.
But just kind of wanted to give you a reality check on that. And yeah, it's not fun being a landlord. And everybody thinks that since you're a landlord that you just are rich, basically, but quite the opposite. This is the bank's house. This is not my house, really, even. So yeah, just a little update. Hopefully the next tenants will be better, and we'll keep pushing forward. But
so one of the things that I do is you charge pet rent and you hope for the best. But honestly, the damages that were done, even if you did charge pet rent, will probably not be able to cover it. But unfortunately, we live in a world where now people have emotional support pets, and that's a way for them to get around paying pet rent. So you got to be careful of that. But I think he still made the right decision in keeping the house and continue to rent. Unfortunately, starting off as an investor, especially when you have just one home, every change, especially if it's cash heavy, you're going to feel it. But as you grow a net worth of homes, you tend to be able to absorb things a little bit better. And this brings me to the importance of making sure when you purchase. Now, of course, this was a home that they were living in, so most people don't buy investment property or the homes that they're gonna live in with the same, I will say, respect that they would give to buying an investment property. Let me explain that in detail and better. The home you're gonna buy, you have an attachment. You have like a physical attachment. Like there's an emotional attachment. That's the word, emotional. An investment property, you should not have an emotional attachment. The numbers are the emotional attachment. If the numbers don't make sense, if the numbers don't give you a high enough wiggle room, don't do it. So, I hope this guy well, and he's taking it like a champ. I could tell he's really not looking at it from the negative standpoint. He's going to continue renting. So I don't think he'll have much of a problem going forward. And unfortunately, the market that we're in just doesn't allow a lot of people to exit without having to pay something. So if you found this video informative, make sure to share, make sure to hit that like button, and I'll see you in the next video.